The views and opinions expressed on the following program may not necessarily reflect the views of the staff, management, or board of Hope Media Group and KSBJ. It's what's happening around us, in our town, suburb, city, in our community. It's Community Beat with Kim Kasi McKee on 89.3 KSBJ.
Hello and welcome to Community Beat, where we're keeping you tuned into the topics that are impacting our local communities and helping them thrive. I'm your host, Kim Kasi McKee, and today we want to focus on an organization that is making a huge difference in the lives of youth throughout our communities. Our guest today is Kelly Martins. She's founder and executive director for Lighthouse for Students. Hi, Kelly. Welcome, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, Kelly, for starters, tell us about yourself and how you became involved with Lighthouse for Students. I've been on your site, and I can see that you're making a huge impact for students in the Sunnyside area.
So 8 years ago, I read an article about a football game, and it was stating not to judge the boys by the score because the Worthing High School team had lost significantly. And curious as to why not to judge them, I looked at the article, and it was actually about the football coach at Worthing. And it stated that Worthing High School sits in the most dangerous neighborhood in the state of Texas and the second most dangerous neighborhood in the nation. Well, at that time, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I didn't know where Sunnyside was, like most people. So I mapped it, and it was 36 miles from my home. And I thought, well, that's crazy. We live in a city like Houston. How come somebody's not doing anything? Well, when I had that thought, I felt like I heard the Lord say to me, it's going to be you.
That someone is you, huh?
And so again, being a stay-at-home mom and not doing anything, I just tried to find a way to get in and talk to the youth, and we started from there, and that was 8 years ago.
Wow. So when you talk about going in there, what does it look like? How are you involved with the students?
Okay, yeah. So we started with assemblies because at that time, what they had told us was no one had ever come into the schools to provide any kind of service extra. No one had ever brought food. Like they didn't even know where to put the food for the staff that we brought. And so we started assemblies and bringing in youth pastors and other people who like to talk to youth about their choices. And they kept asking us to come back every month. And so at that point, we decided, well, we need to become a nonprofit because, you know, it's a food desert as well. So we were trying to feed the students at that time. And then they offered us a class period. And so, of course, we grabbed it, and we are there every week now, and we have a class time. We work with students on choices and what's going on in their life and how to connect them to people that can support what's going on in their life. And we bring lunch, and we provide pantry and all sorts of things that those kids over there need.
So it's really an incredible story that you were a stay-at-home mom, and based on an article you read, you sprung into action. And you say we, so that means you mobilized an army.
And it's interesting you say army because the very first assembly, a young lady in the back of the auditorium, as I was walking out, she pulled me to the side and she said, "You're here because of me." And I said, "What? Explain." And she said, "I've been praying for an army, and the Lord sent you guys."
Wow, that is incredible. So who are some of the people, not necessarily names, but who are some of the types of people that go into the schools with you? Are these other stay-at-home moms? Are they youth pastors? Are they other students?
Yeah, so my church, I attend Champions Forest Baptist Church, and they're very supportive. And some of their youth pastors they're on the board and help support, go in as well. And then a lot of my stay-at-home mom friends, of course, you know, I'm like, hey,
I've got a job for you.
And they all jump on and they go willingly and supportive. And I mean, it's just been such a blessing. And we're at 2 of the schools now in Worthing and working on the 3rd. People always say that we're a blessing to those kids, but when you get in there and get to know those kids, it's reversed. And you know, I have enjoyed every 8 years of this, and I can't even imagine my life before I was going into Sunnyside.
Wow. So how people think that it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to go into the schools with a positive message or programs. And, you know, they think it's so full of bureaucracy and it's going to be very difficult. So what was your experience like trying to build that relationship and that trust so that you could go into the schools?
Well, I feel like we're dealing with a different environment because it is the most dangerous neighborhood in the state. Since there hasn't been a lot of support from outside of the school, we have a lot of opportunity to bring in our own way of supporting the children.
Okay.
And since we are an elective for the kids, we have the privilege of being able to talk about Jesus and pull the Bible out and do Bible lessons. They all wear shirts with our Bible verse on the back. And that's because it's not a designated class time. So these kids choose to be in our program. So because of that, it's a privilege that we get to bring that into the school.
So when you say you're an elective, what is the class called?
Well, it's just Lighthouse for Students. It's basically a club.
Okay.
I mean, I'd word it more like a club because we are not accredited course. So they have a period where they get to choose if it's an advocacy period where they have tutoring or such as that. Now, the state came in this year and twisted some things up a little bit, changed it. And so they took away the advocacy period. So now we have them just for the lunch period. But since it's a lunch period again, and it's a choice, we can do whatever subject matter we want to talk on, we can do that because they have a choice to be there.
I see. So the students can choose to come to this classroom setting. And once they're there, you have the opportunity to, for someone to give an inspirational talk, share the gospel, play a game, just whatever it is that you desire to do.
One of our board members, Laura Gallier, had written a curriculum just, for students such as this. It's I Am Worthy. And it's I am worthy of love, respect. I mean, it's just the whole,
awesome.
And we incorporate a Bible verse with it every lesson as well. So we're getting to do the full lessons with these students.
Do you have any opportunity to make impact or inroads with the faculty of the schools?
Oh, yes. We have such a wonderful, now we've had 4 principals in 8 years. Okay. So, I mean, this district is changing and the school is challenging, and so they're changing every 2 or 3 years. So, but we've always had a wonderful relationship with administration, and we just provided lunch for the whole staff at Christmas, and we do that twice a year. And we provide their pantry, and because it's a food desert, we filled their clothes closet, which we supplied the shelf. We built out the closet for them. We do that. We still do assemblies. I'm trying to think of all the things we do for staff. I mean, we're there to support them. Being in a school is just so challenging, and I don't do that. I'm only there an hour, so I never try to pretend I'm a teacher or understand what's going on. But what I am there, the short I've noticed is there's a lot for these kids that they need that teachers can't provide at all.
Of course.
And, we can't expect them to be the academic teacher, the mother, the father, because 90% of these kids do not have mom and dad at home.
Right.
And so we just like to think we come in there to help, have their back. We're here to encourage the staff. We want you to have, lunch occasionally and treats here and there because they don't have a PTO doing that.
Right.
And being on the PTO at my kids' school, and I saw how, we were able to spoil in a loving way, and so thankful we could. And then going over there and realizing they didn't even have a place to set up the snacks we brought.
Right.
It was a difference.
Yes, of course.
And they need to have their tanks full.
Absolutely. Well, bless you for what you're doing. So where did that name come from, Lighthouse for Students?
I was actually sitting in our church parking lot, and I heard the Lord say, Lighthouse, because you're going to guide. And I was like, okay. And then we're with students. So I was like, well, it'll just be a lighthouse for students.
That is awesome. If you're just tuning in, we're speaking with Kelly Martins, who is the founder and director of Lighthouse for Students. And they provide programs for Houston's at-risk youth just through various programs that they're able to bring into the schools. And the children can voluntarily come and maybe receive a meal, a snack, a word of encouragement, motivational speakers, inspirational speakers to talk to them. So, Kelly, how are you on volunteers? I mean, what makes an ideal volunteer or someone that can work with you to do what you're doing?
Well, right now, the ideal volunteer would be men because men are our leaders, right? And they're we do not have men And these kids at this school do not have men in their homes. And so I remembered from my kids' school, we had Watchdog Dads. So I just kind of mimicked Watchdog Dads, but we named it Men of Steel because iron sharpens iron. And so we are trying to have men on campus every day. And so what that means is you would be there when the doors open. You open the door for the kids when they're coming in. How are you today? What's going on? High five. During when the bell rings, as you can imagine, the fights are crazy at the school. We've seen, I can't even tell you how many we've seen. And especially at lunch. So if we have Men of Steel, they wear their big iron sharpens iron shirts. The kids know they're there. They walk around at lunchtime. How are you? How are your grades? Are you studying for school? What are you doing after school? And how this started was I was checking in one day and there was a sign that said Checkers with Dad. And I said, oh, how exciting. How many dads showed up? And the receptionist looked at me. She goes, none. And at that moment, I thought, we have to get men in the school.
That's great.
And if I can real quick, just tell you a story of one of the guy who we asked to lead the group. Leon was there and he had gone into the restroom and there was a young man sitting on the floor and he said, are you okay? And he said, I'm on the phone with my brother who's in prison. And at first he said, shouldn't you be in class? And we're not there to patrol, break up fights, anything like that.
Sure.
We're just to kind of be a presence. And he said, well, maybe you should be in class. And he said, but this is the only time my brother can talk. And he was crying. And his brother said, what does he want? Who is he? And he said, and Leon had a conversation with him, started talking to him about Jesus. He said, I sat on that phone with that boy for 20 minutes and we came to know the Lord. And it's just opportunities to be in that building and them to have a man in their life that's present and positive.
Right. That is awesome. I know sometimes when people think of missions, they think of overseas missions, but you have found an opportunity to go across town and to bring a lot of people with you to make an indelible impact on these kids. So some of them, I would imagine, you've literally seen them go through 4 years of school and graduate.
Yes. We have one of our girls who we put through photography school because she wanted to be a photographer. So we paid for her to go through her photography school.
Wow.
We have several that aren't necessarily in college but are in jobs. We have one that we helped get a job with HAR, and he's been promoted just recently. So yes, we keep in touch as long as we can. A lot of these kids move, but we have several that have moved and are still emailing me and texting me and telling me what they're doing. And we do provide scholarships and working on bringing some of the other things back, plumbing and cosmetology, and working on getting some of that going. We did start a tutoring program where we're actually it's going to be peer-on-peer tutoring. So we will pay the students who excel academically to tutor the kids who don't. So we're offering job plus helping the kids with their academics.
Incredible. If you're just tuning in, we're speaking with Kelly Martins from Lighthouse for Students and just finding out what they're doing, the impact that they're making in the city and how you can be a part of that. So Kelly, how should people keep up with what's the best way for people to keep up with what's going on with Lighthouse for Students?
Yes. So always our website, which is lighthouseforstudents.org. We also have a Facebook page, which is Lighthouse for Students. We'd love for you to join our newsletter so we can send out, newsletters every 2 months and let people know what's going on and how they can jump in and volunteer. And then we have our event coming up in February, which is we do it every 18 months, our fundraiser. And that's a great place to come see. The Worthing Band will be there playing to enter people through the building.
Wow.
And we talk about what we've been doing all year, and it's a great opportunity for people to see what's going on.
And I saw a pretty big name that's going to be there is very influential with youth, Tim Tebow.
Yes, Tim Tebow.
I've heard his testimony before, and
so good.
You're talking very, very impactful and inspirational.
Yes.
So I know that he will be a huge blessing.
Yes, thank you.
So to find out more about your upcoming banquet, where should they go?
They can go to our website, lighthouseforstudents.org.
What are some ways that the community can support you?
So we are not just in Sunnyside anymore. We're actually in 4 schools in Klein ISD.
Okay.
And so we are in the elementary school and 3 elementary schools, and then we're in Klein Forest High School, and we do the same programs there. So supporting us would be volunteers in Sunnyside is our biggest need. I live an hour from Sunnyside, so that commute is challenging. I mean, we do it. I've been doing it for 8 years, but getting the volunteers to be consistent is challenging. So getting volunteers within the city would be really nice. Just coming and loving on those kids during lunch when we have them. They don't want anything but to be heard. So just having lunch with them. We sit and we have lunch and we chat and we do our quick lesson and we're on our way. Men of Steel, again, they said they can tell when a man is there based on the level of fights, the number of fights.
It makes a difference.
Makes a huge difference. And we all know that our young girls need men and we know our young boys need men. And just, it doesn't seem like much, but if somebody's there every day, if we have 2 or 3 of those men on campus every day, it's impactful.
It's a presence.
Yes. So that's my biggest call.
So what would you say are some of those ideal characteristics of the kind of men that would come into the schools?
Men who are positive, outgoing, willing to speak to the kids. How are you today? High fives. Workers, people who are willing to go ask staff, hey, anything going on you need some help with? Can I help you in the workroom? How's this pantry? Do you want me to stock some shelves? Men who are on their feet and willing to take the initiative. The ideal age is men 25 or older. To be a Man of Steel, we ask you to just visit HISD's website. There will be a button to click for VIP, and this is a quick background check. Just takes a few minutes, and make sure that you are in the clear before you show up to the school. We also ask that you bring your driver's license as well so that they can check you in that way.
So Kelly, how has your life personally been impacted over these 8 years?
Oh, I can't even, my trust in God, and I'll try to keep this really short. You said something earlier that I was like, my husband grew up, mom and dad have lived on every continent but one. I have never left Houston. And when we got married, I said, I'm not leaving Houston. I've told God I'm not doing it. I'm scared. I won't leave the country.
Okay.
And he was like, okay. So I said, I'll do it here. I'll ministry here. So I did what every normal person does. I had Bible study in my home. I did stuff with my kids, PT, all this stuff. And when I read the article, I literally felt like I heard the Lord say, you wouldn't trust me to leave. I'm going to take you 36 miles down the road, the most dangerous place I can take you here.
Wow.
And even though it hasn't to me been dangerous, I mean,
Sure.
but when you read most dangerous, in my head, I thought, well, he didn't make me go overseas. This is what he's going to do to me. I mean, it's like, but how I've learned to trust
Yes.
my faith and realizing that ministry is around the corner. It can be across the street. It can be wherever anyone is that's not walking with faith, not walking with Jesus. And what it's done for my kids to see this, I've taken my kids to Sunnyside. They're in college now, but they've all been over there. Again, just what he has allowed me. I mean, I know people say I'm the blessing to the kids, but it is not true. I mean, those kids are the blessing to us, me and all the volunteers, what they've shown us. We had 6 kids murdered the first summer. 6 kids from Sunnyside murdered that first summer. We had another one of our kids in our program kill another one of our kids in our program, murdered. It was on the news. You've seen it. We've seen so much trauma. We've seen so much death and sadness and everything. And the Lord just keeps being merciful and showing us that there's hope. And that's what we give these kids, there's hope. And I don't like the label of what Sunnyside has, because when you get in there, you see beautiful kids, smart kids, talented kids. And you're like, this is what the city sees of you, though, because this is what's on the news every night.
Sure.
But in there is beautifulness I wish the whole city could see.
It's so awesome. I was recently a part of a talent show where there were inner city youth. Their talents were on display, and some of them were from the Sunnyside area.
Eyes on Me.
Eyes on Me.
Yes, we were there last year, and we sponsored some of it this year.
Awesome.
Those are our kids, and you saw, and I won't say her name. One of my sweet little. I've already this morning been talking to her. I could tell her story. I won't, but just know the kids you saw there are kids that are hurting.
Yes.
And a night like that is so good for them.
I know. And
somebody cheering them on.
I believe their drum line was there too.
Yes.
Performing.
Yep.
And it was just incredible just to see these youth be celebrated for all of the giftings that God has placed in their lives. So such a wonderful thing, Kelly, that you and your team are doing. And I know that you're inspiring others to take courage or to just be open to however God wants to use us.
Don't be afraid to do what God wants you to do.
That's right. Because where He guides, He will provide. He will. And so many times it starts out just a seed, but who knows how that's going to grow? Because you're now 8 years in, and who's to say? You've probably lost count of how many people have come through your program, or how many people have partnered with you to make a difference, whether it was through a donation of their time or of their finances or of their resources. Right. So what would be your, how can we be praying for the ministry, Lighthouse for Students, in the days ahead? What are some of your dreams? You've already said you've expanded from one campus to now 4 different sites. What are some of your dreams in the days ahead?
My dreams in the days ahead is that our program grows within Sunnyside. We're looking at other ways to support the community and trying to find out exactly where God wants us to land in that. We have some ideas, but I really want God to make it clear exactly what He wants us to do. I don't like to go necessarily more broad. I like to go deep. And so I'm just praying for the ideas that we are throwing around for Him to put the exact one He wants in place.
Have you been able to connect with any of the churches or any of the pastors in the area? Speak to how important that is to have those other church partners.
Well, just having support in the community helps.
Sure.
We've met with several pastors over there, several different organizations, Eyes on Me. So yeah, just always having their support helps you in the community. I think anytime someone comes into a community that they're not used to, they are as equally questionable of you.
Sure.
And so just having people who have your back is good.
That's awesome. So how can we be praying for you in the days ahead?
That we get the men that we need to be able to have good, strong men at the school. Hopefully on a daily basis. You can, and also pray that we always make the best choice for our students.
We would like to thank our guest for joining us today, Ms. Kelly Martins, founder and executive director for Lighthouse for Students. Kelly, we are so grateful for what you're doing for our city and for the youth. And our thoughts and prayers will certainly be with you in the days ahead. And again, let us know, how can our listeners follow you and find out how to connect and learn more about you?
Yes, they can always go on our Facebook page, Lighthouse for Students. Our website is lighthouseforstudents.org. We're also on Instagram. And sign up for our newsletter. And that is stuff we send out every other month, and it keeps you up to date with what's going on and where we are.
Well, thanks, Kelly, for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to our wonderful listening audience for joining us. And we hope you'll join us again next week for another edition of Community Beat. I'm Kim Kasi McKee on 89.3 KSVJ.
Thanks for joining us for Community Beat with Kim Kasi McKee. Join us every Saturday morning at 5:30 on 89.3 KSBJ.